Welcome to another episode of Daily Gym. We've all given feedback to different people in our lives, from people at work to people in our private life like loved ones or family to strangers. And we generally do that with good intentions to make them better people or to make them change their behavior in some kind of way. But I think we've all realized now how difficult it is to make somebody change their behavior or way of thinking. So in today's video, I want to talk about how I used to do it in the past and how I'm doing it now. When I started out managing different kinds of people, forget about changing their behavior, I wasn't even really sure about how to give feedback or even what kind of feedback I should give. So the way I started out was I started doing the same work as everybody else at the company was doing. And from my own experience, I started figuring out what works and what doesn't work. But at the same time, I was observing other people, what they were doing, and I kind of pulled everything together to create best in class for those particular tasks. And then thinking from there, at what level is the person I need to have a feedback session with, and how can I get them to that best level? But still, that hadn't solved my actual messaging or feedback session itself. So I started reaching out to people that had management experience, learning from their lessons, and also started reading a lot of different books. And what I took away from that was the hamburger approach. You start a conversation with positive news to bring everybody in a good mood, then give them the meat of the story or the negative news, and then finally wrap it up again with positive news so that everybody leaves the conversation in a somewhat positive mood. And sure enough, that was the effect I got for the most part. But it didn't actually change their way of thinking or their behavior. So I kind of had to go back to the drawing board and figure out how I can accomplish that. After reading much more and gaining more wisdom and trying to implement it, so I really apologize to the people that I worked with at that time because a lot of it was trial and error. I started figuring out that we are all ultimately self-interested. So whenever I started working with a person, as soon as possible, I wanted to figure out what their personal life is like, what their professional career had been like up to that date, and where they wanted to be in the future, or what they saw them like themselves in the future. And whenever I was talking with them in terms of feedback, I tried to tie everything together to what they wanted to be doing in the future, so that I, to some extent, triggered some kind of self-interest and motivation from within, that they started realizing like, oh yeah, I really want to do this. And in order to do this, was merely a suggestion, rather than really kind of forcing them or telling them negatively that this is what you need to change, but making it come from within. And with some people, I saw really great results, but still for many of the people I work with or the people in my private life I wanted to help, it didn't really trigger the change I was hoping for. Over time, whether it was by accident, I don't remember exactly at which point in time it happened, I started realizing that in order to make people change, the most effective method thus far for me is to put them in a situation that pretty much forces them to work in a way that you want them to work or to act in a way that you want them to act. And then after that, follow up with words of appreciation and encouragement. Because we all like to feel good about ourselves. It gives us a certain sense of pride and fulfillment, and it just makes us feel good about ourselves that we did things in a very good manner. And if you're able to repeat that a few times, all of a sudden you see people start changing their ways. Maybe not always their way of thinking, but at least their actions, which is ultimately what you're hoping to accomplish for them. That's all I have to say for today. I hope these were some lessons for you. If you have some experience yourself with giving feedback, what works and what doesn't work, please leave a comment below. I would love to learn and improve my own method. I'll be back with another episode tomorrow, so have a nice day, everybody.